got that bitch. Feeling so high. Summer rhythms play. We're gonna fly. Go, go, go. Oh, shout it aloud. Hear the summer sun. We're a summer loving crowd. Talking Brazil. Hello there and welcome to Talking Brazil Ball. I'm back. It's George with Talking Brazil Ball. Plenty to get on with in today's show, including more managerial sackings and Cruzeiro struggle still, and Flamengo a pick up. More of that, and all that and much more, should I say, to come in today's episode. So tune in and enjoy. Yes, hello there again. It's George with Talking Brazil Ball. Like I said, James will join us when he can this season. It's another episode. I think it's been about 10 days or so since the last episode, but I was trying to encompass, obviously I have to encompass 2 match days in this episode. So we'll quickly fly through round 5, match day 5, and match day 6 is the one that we're fully focused on in this episode, because the games are now coming quick, thick, and fast. So there's plenty, like I said, to get hold of in this episode. Obviously, the TBB, the Talking Brazil Ball derby, went on last week. My team, Galo, beat James's Inter 1-0, but that is not what we'll focus on. I did say that was a game of the week. I did forget that there was going to be another game week before I did another pod, so I picked a really good one in my mind for game of the week. So stay tuned for that momentarily. But first things first, we will round up those match day 5 results and match day 6 as well, so everybody is up to speed. So match day 5 went as followed. Then it started on Wednesday, the 11th of March. Mirassol 2, Santos 2. Galo 1, Inter 0. Sorry, James. Bahia 1, Vitória 1. Into Thursday, the 12th of March, then Corinthians 0, Curitiba 2. Flamengo 2, Cruzeiro 0. Leonardo Jardim opened his Flamengo account against his former side, Cruzeiro, who are in crisis at the moment. He bagged a 2-0 win at the Maracanã. Remo 0, Fluminense 2. Vasco 2, Palmeiras 1. Renato Gaucho's first game in charge of Vasco. Sao Paulo 2, Chapecoense 0. And the match day finished on Friday the 13th of March with Grêmio 1, Bragantino 1. Into match day 6 then, it started on Saturday the 14th of March, Vitória 2, Galo 0. Fogo 0, Flamengo 3. Sunday the 15th of March then, Fluminense 3, Atletico PR 2, Inter 0, Bahia 1, Santos 1, Corinthians 1, Curitiba 1, Remo 0, Palmeiras 1, Mirassol 0, Cruzeiro 3, Vasco 3, RB Bragantino 1, Sao Paulo 2, and the match day finished very early hours, I think very late last night in England. Chapecoense 1, Grêmio 1. So there you go. That brings you all up to date with the results thus far in the season. And the match day that I picked in my head before this round of fixtures, coming on to the pod to discuss today, was Cruzeiro against Vasco. I thought 2 teams right at the bottom of the table when I picked it. Vasco did then go on to beat Palmeiras in a fabulous result, their first win of the season. After Renato Gaucho's appointment, they won. They elevated out of the relegation zone, and they came up against Cruzeiro, who were at the time rock bottom. They have been replaced by Inter, but they were rock bottom at the time when I chose it. Not getting much better for them, and not getting much better at all as Tite, the famous Tite, is sacked after only just 90 days in the hot seat in Belo Horizonte, in the blue side of Belo Horizonte, with Cruzeiro sacked. I think Ronaldo was a part of the decision, wasn't he? And yeah, Tite is no more the head coach. They are looking at Arta Jorge. This would be a fabulous appointment. I would really enjoy this. Actually, Arta Jorge delivered a fabulous double when manager of Botafogo a couple of years ago. Famous double. That, to me, would be a fabulous signing, and one to look up and say, hey, they mean business now. Obviously, a disastrous start in the first 6 games of the season. We know that it's early doors. There's 32 games to go or something like this. There's a lot to go, plenty to get their teeth into still. And Arta Jorge would be a fantastic appointment, but it is them that obviously, like I said, I did choose for the game of the week, and it did deliver. And then some. A 3-3 draw with Vasco in Belo Horizonte. Absolutely, great. A great watch, great bit of football, between the two sides, and I very much thought, wow, this is definitely, great one to pick. Obviously, you pick it in height before the game, but after the game, you think, wow, absolutely excellent. Anyway, it was a 3-apiece draw. Vasco coming off the back of a 2-1 win over Palmeiras, absolutely fantastic in Renato Gaucho's first game in charge. Followed that up with Cruzeiro are a very good side still. They're not in the best of form, but they're still a very, very good side. And they followed it up with a 3-apiece draw. I mean, it looks like it was a very even game, really, overall. Possession very similar. Cruzeiro just shaded it. They shaded the XG and the shots on target as well. Total shots as well, not the shots on target, sorry, but they scored, Cruzeiro scored 3 goals from 6 shots on target. Vasco scored 3 from 7 on target, and it is, a little bit of a scrappy. There was no real standout goals. We will focus a lot on this game in this episode as well, because it has the player of the round and the young player of the round in it as well, also being the game of the week. So it's very much a Cruzeiro and Vasco, sort of fest, happy fest, if you like, in terms of myself here today, talking about this game in great, in detail, and more so the players that were in it as well. But I think both teams obviously will. I think Vasco, given that they had to play, the last half an hour with 10 men, will have, see it as an okay point, even though they were up when Cauã Barros got his marching orders. Unfairly, I must admit, wasn't a red card in my opinion. The referee went to VAR and he still sent him off. Mr. Lucas Torzin, he had, poor decision really. But they had to play the last half an hour without him. He was a big part of why they were 2-1 up in the first place. It did go to pot a little bit. Nisa Villarreal, who was recently signed, the Ecuadorian man, I believe he is, he got himself on the score sheet. Young fella was in sorry, he's a Colombian man. He was on for the young player of the round, but he didn't win it. Only his second game for Cruzeiro that was. Got on the score sheet, equaled the game up. Vasco went then ahead through Brenner, and then Yapa finished it off with a headed goal deep in the stoppage time. So they'll be a little bit disappointed. Vasco, they might look back on it, Renato Gaucho, and say, "Hey, we were 2-1 up, and he got sent off." And if we weren't down to 10, maybe we would have been able to push through the win, which would have been a fabulous result as well. But it didn't end up that way, and obviously it ended 3 apiece. But I would like to speak about the young player of the round award. I said it didn't go to Villarreal. It was in this game as well. And it was the man that we've mentioned already, Mr. Cauã Barros, who got 2 goals. we'll talk about the player of the round because he's got that as well for the first time in a long time, potentially the first time ever on Talking Brazil Ball. The same player has got the Young Player of the Round award as well as the Player of the Round award. Mr. Barros is only 21, so he does get the Young Player of the Round award as well. 2 goals. Nobody else came close to that. So we will play the 2 jingles all in once for Mr. Kawan Barros. Ironically, not that one.
A bright future ahead for this guy, a young talent of Brazil. How far can he go? It's the Young Player of the Round award. Oh, what a performance! 5 stars. He's gotta be player of the round. Who else?
Yeah, and it was definitely a case of who else this time. A young player, player of the round. You know, he qualifies for our Young Player of the Round award, so I thought, why not give it to him as well? So he's got both of them, Kawan Barros, and he scored both of his goals in the second half. He also scored a goal last week, I believe, as well. He scored a couple of weeks ago against Santos. So that's 3 goals in his last 3 Brasileirão games. So he's really burst on the scene. We know Vasco do like to bring up young players. He has just made his Vasco debut back in 2023. He's been on loan a couple of times to lower league sides, Amazonas and also America. But he's America MG, but he's back with Vasco, and he's now scoring goals. He's got 4 goals so far this season. One was I think did he score in the Carioca? I'm not sure, but he's burst on the scene. Definitely now the attacking midfielder, the number 10. Couple of scrappy goals, really. These 2 goals, both headers, both very, very close range, but he had to be in there to get them, and he did exactly that. Put his team level. After going behind early on in the game, and then he then went on to put them ahead. Just a couple of minutes in between both of his goals. He had a very eventful sort of 7 or 8 minutes because, as I mentioned, then he did go and get himself sent off, but unjustly so, I think. I don't think that was a deserved red card. Poor from the referee, in my opinion. You know, it kind of tripped the lad, but for me, wasn't a red card, this at all. But the referee saw fit and ended up giving him a red. So whether that'll be rescinded or not, who knows? But for the 59 minutes he was on the pitch, yeah, fair play to him, young lad. Dragged his team back into it, then put them ahead, and that was his work done as far as he was concerned. Got the red card. So he had a very good sort of 50-odd minutes in the game, really. And then off he goes. So he's very much a man, a name to sort of keep an eye on, I would say. Yes, for sure, very, very much so. You know, keep an eye on Mr. Barros, and we'll see where his career goes, and we'll see how he progresses as he moves through his career. And if he can get that same level, in the games that come, obviously 3 goals in the whole, competition now in the Brasileirão. So he's doing very well. So hopefully he will continue that. And congratulations to him for the Player of the Round award, for the Young Player of the Round award as well. Like I said, a name to definitely keep an eye on. We do know Vasco like to keep all the Serie A teams do, but Vasco in particular seem to really focus on the youth, and bringing them through. So, let's keep a close eye on his career and see how he progresses through the ranks. I'm sure his name, it won't be the first time we hear his name in winning an award, I'm sure, on Talking to Brazil Ball. So let's wait and see. But congratulations to Kawan Barros on his 2 awards this week.
5 stars.
Yeah, so congratulations to Mr. Barros on those two awards. So we move swiftly on then to the goal of the round award, and that will be following this.
Go, go, go. Jogo Brazilian football at its best.
So yeah, Brazilian football at its best, and this week wasn't really. There was no real standout kind of goals. There was none that really took my eye and said, right, that's it. I'm going to give that goal of the round award. It was more of a case of very much of a muchness around all of the grounds really, and there's a few nice goals. I liked, unfortunately, well, I didn't like it because it was against my team, Garlo, but it was a nice free kick from Victoria on Saturday night, a low one into the bottom corner. The wall misjudged it. There was a couple of other nice finishes in and amongst that as well, but it is a free kick that I'm giving it to in the end. We do love a free kick goal on Talking Brazil Ball here, and this time it was the captain of Flamengo, Mr. Leo Pereira, the 30-year-old centre back, with a lovely free kick in Flamengo's 3-0 win over Fogo. Leonardo Hardim, really shrewd appointment in my opinion, although not really favoured, it didn't seem, by the Flamengo faithful at first. I'm sure they've turned they've turned the tide. There I'm sure with three important wins. I think Hardim maybe was in charge for the Carioca win over Fluminense, and then he took charge, of course, against his former team, Cruzeiro, in a 2-0 win at the Maracanã. And then they went across the city of Rio and beat Fogo in the Nilton Santos with a very, very comfortable win, 3-0 win. So I'm sure that that the Flamengo faithful are turning the tide in terms of their opinions on Leonardo Hardim, because for me looks a really good appointment. Did a great season with Cruzeiro last season, and with better players, it has to be said, on Flamengo's team. And look at this, look at the team. Rossi in goal, Sandro Pereira Ortiz, Valera, Jorginho, Pulgar, Lino Paqueta, Carrascal, and Pedro. It's a fabulous team, is that? And with those tools, I think Hardim, Flamengo look very much back on track now. And for me, they were my favourites at the start with Felipe Luis. They started poorly. You can see now the real might of this squad coming to fruition, and they absolutely blew away Fogo, who are really struggling at the moment. It does have to be said, they are, way down in the relegation zone in 17th position. We will talk about them momentarily, but this goal, it was a lovely goal, to be fair. Nice free kick, swung in with his left foot, an outswinger, always curling away from Raul in the Brazilian, in the Botafogo goal. It was his first game for Fogo. I think the goalkeeper, Leonardo Link, is coming under a little bit of fire. He was dropped after Fogo lost in the Libertadores qualifications against Barcelona SC, the Ecuadorian side. Really disappointing. They won. I think they drew in Ecuador. They took Barcelona SC back to Rio, and they ended up losing to an early goal and 2-1 in the end on aggregate. Really disappointing. But keeper Raul came in, hasn't played many since his move to Fogo in March of 2024. That was only his 14th appearance for the club. He has played in the Carioca 5 times this season, but it was his first Brasileirão appearance of the season. He could not do anything about this, Pereira free kick. It was curled in handsomely, really, to put them 2-0 up. Alexander Barbosa then got his marching orders for a straight red card, which then, the game was put to bed early on in the second half with Pedro's, very close range finish in the end. But it was a lovely free kick, this. I thought that'll win it this time. And fair enough, Pereira. Also wanted to speak about Flamengo and Hardim's appointment. I do think it's a really shrewd and impressive appointment, along with if Cruzeiro then go and get Arta Jorge, it'll be very interesting. 2 of them lads going up against each other, obviously European experience, 2 Portuguese men, dominating the league potentially if Cruzeiro can come up and arrest their poor start with a run of really big games and good wins. But Samuel Lino got Flamengo up and running in this one, and like I said, Pedro finished scoring in the 49th minute with an easy finish really for the standard that he's at. Obviously Fogo, the Libertadores exit even before the competition has started has really put Martin Selmy in under a lot of pressure here now. A lot of pressure, and I wouldn't be hesitating to say that I think if he loses Fogo's next game, which is tomorrow, the games do come thick and fast now. So I will be looking again at 2 match days when I look at it next week. The match day resumes again tomorrow, then there's another one at the weekend. So the games do come thick and fast. But I don't think if Fogo don't beat Palmeiras, which is a really difficult game, but if they don't win that, he might get a reprieve. If they don't get a result against Bragantino on the weekend, I think he'll be relieved of his duties. So the next time we speak, Martin Selmy might no longer be the Fogo manager. Let's wait and see. He is still at this moment in time. There's a lot of work to do for them as they currently sit in the relegation zone. But it's Flamengo who are striding up the table now in 5th position after back-to-back wins under Leonardo Jardim. And it's Leo Pereira who gets the Goal of the Round award for that lovely free kick. So well done to him, and well done to Flamengo and Leonardo Jardim, who are slowly working their way back up the table. So yeah, Brazilian football at its best there. So that brings me to the to close to the end, of course, of this pod. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to, for to keep ahead and up to date with everything Brazilian football, everything Brasileirão and Serie A. So we will wrap up the fixtures. We will look at the fixtures, and then we will wrap the table to finish off with. So this is what match day 7 looks like. Like I said, I won't be focusing on this. I'll be focusing on match day 8 in next week's pod. But match day 7 begins tomorrow night at 10 p.m. English time with Bahia hosting RB Bragantino. Palmeiras, like I said, hosts Fogo. Atletico PR hosts Cruzeiro. Galo host Sao Paulo. Mirassol host Curitiba. Into Thursday the 19th of March, then Santos host Inter. Fluminense travel to Vasco. Vitória go to Grêmio, and Flamengo host Remo. The matchday finishes on Friday the 20th of March. Early hours of that day here in England, with Chapecoense against Corinthians. Matchday 8 then, and one that I will pick a game of the week from, starts on Saturday the 21st of March with RB Bragantino against Fogo and Fluminense against Galo. Sunday the 22nd of March then, Sao Paulo against Palmeiras, Atletico PR against Curitiba, Cruzeiro hosts Santos, Remo against Bahia, Vasco against Grêmio, Inter against Chapecoense. Vitoria host Mirasol. And the match day ends at 11:30 on Sunday evening in the UK, with Cruzeiro hosting Flamengo. So there's a lot of fixtures there, obviously, but we are focusing, like I said, on match day 8. And I am going to go with Sao Paulo against Palmeiras as my game of the week. A very intriguing looking match, this. A Sao Paulo derby as well. And the two teams are first and second as it stands in the standings. Obviously, that could change by the time the game comes around. Sao Paulo host travel to Galo tomorrow night, and Palmeiras, like I said, host Fogo tomorrow. So let's wait and see how that one goes. But at the moment, Sao Paulo going very well under Hernan Crespo, and Palmeiras also, despite their defeat against Vasco last week, they followed it up with a weekend win against Mirasol. So they'll be hoping that come the game on the weekend, they'll have another 3 points in the bag over Fogo, and then they can go into the Sao Paulo derby with Sao Paulo full of confidence and maybe wanting to topple them on the top of the league. So I will look at that one next week. So with all that said, all there is to do is to wrap up the table, and the early parts of it look a little bit like this. So top of the league is Sao Paulo on 16 points. Second is Palmeiras on 13. Third is Fluminense also on 13. Fourth is Bahia on 11. Fifth is Flamengo on 10. Sixth is Curitiba also on 10. Seventh is Grêmio on 8. Eighth is Corinthians on 8. Ninth is RB Bragantino on 8. 10th is Atletico PR on 7. 11th is Vitória on 7. 12th is Chapecoense on 6. 13th Mirasol on 6. 14th is Santos on 6. 15th is Vasco on 5. 16th is Galo on 5. 17th and in the relegation zone is Fogo on 3. Grêmio at 18th on 3. Remo. 19th is Cruzeiro on 3. And bottom of the pile, and it's looking ominous already for Inter, bottom on 2 points. So that's how it stands, of course, at the moment in the 2026 edition, early stages of the Brazil Serie A. All changes very, very quickly indeed, and I will be back to wrap it all up next week. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Talking Brazil Ball. Have a great week, and I will see you on the next one. Adios.
Talking Brazil ball, we're breaking it down. Bringing the passion from every town. Let the world be filled with love tonight. Sway to the beat.